We're kicking off episode 16 of The Bride of Monster Kid Radio with the song Zeusphobia. It is from Dr. Phobic and the Phobic-Tones. It's on their release Phobophobia, and you can find them at drphobic.bandcamp.com. Dr. Phobic is drphobic.bandcamp.com, or follow the link in the show notes when you're done listening to this episode of the podcast devoted to the classic, or sometimes not so classic, genre cinema of yesteryear. This is Bride of Monster Kid Radio, and I am your writer, host, and producer, Derek M. Cook. Welcome to the show. This week on the show, of course, we've got Mark Matzke's Beta Capsule Review. What is the Beta Capsule Review for any first-time listeners? Well, Mark has been going through every episode of every Ultraman series. He is a huge fan of Ultraman, and probably a bigger fan than me, and I'm a pretty big fan. Anyway, he's been going through the show, starting with Ultra Q, episode by episode, giving us an episode breakdown, telling us about what's happening in the episode, and just a touch of behind-the-scenes or production information. It's a lot of fun, and right now he's talking about the series Ultraman Ace. So we're going to have that coming up in this week's episode. And after that, Beth is going to join me. Do we finally talk about the Hideous Sun Demon this week? Well, stay tuned to find out. We're also going to go over some feedback that we've received from some of our listeners and just kind of talk a little bit about what's going on with us. Kind of a little bit of a behind-the-scenes catch-up, breakdown, peel back the monster curtain kind of thing. So we're going to get to that in this week's episode as well. In fact, why don't we go ahead and get to all of that, starting with Mark right now.
Coming soon, this June, it's the Monster Bash Conference at the Pittsburgh Marriott North in Cranberry Township. Fans of classic horror and science fiction films and TV will gather from across the United States and beyond. It's where you can meet and get autographs from movie and TV actors and actresses. This June 20th through the 22nd, 2025, meet Catherine Lee Scott and Sharon Smythe from the original Dark Shadows TV show, plus writer and zombie from the original Night of the Living Dead, John Russo, and the kids and grandkids of the original Universal monsters, Frankenstein, creature from the Black Lagoon, Dracula, the Wolfman, and the Mummy, Ron Chaney, Lynn Lugosi, Renee Browning. Also appearing, the Monsters movie grandpa Daniel Roebuck, TV horror host Son of Ghoul, an Ohio TV legend, and horror host Mr. Lobo. Renegade monster movie director David The Rock Nelson will be filming on site as well. You'll love shopping over 100 vendor tables featuring movie collectibles, DVDs, Blu-rays, vintage toys, vinyl records, monster magazines, comic books, and more to boggle your eyes. Rare film screenings, special talks, and live game shows where you can win great prizes. It's all part of Monster Bash at the Pittsburgh Marriott North, June 20th through the 22nd, 2025. For discounted advance admission, go to the website monsterbash.us. That's monsterbash.us. Or call 724-238-4317 for more information.
We love the Monster Bash! Woo!
The terror shock that can't be stopped.
You're not God. You're not even human. You murdered those men, and you made me a murderer, too.
Weird experiments of accursed scientists turn human beings into living hybrid hell monsters. Now you hold hands with the devil. Now you run for your life from the terror, the torment, the torture inflicted by Satan's ambassador of evil. The next victim could be you. Or you. Or you. Caught forever by the curse of the fly.
Thank you. I've been standing there for centuries.
Yes, I suppose it seemed
Why, it's raining, but you're not wet.
No, I'm not, am I?
Where are you coming from?
I was watching a wonderfully terrifying double feature movie. I was a teenage Frankenstein and Blood of Dracula.
Oh?
Professor Frankenstein created a teenage monster to bring havoc and terror to all who meet him. But he left a few parts out, particularly in the poor lad's face.
May we change the
And
subject?
the vampire in Blood of Dracula, quite unfriendly except when hungry. Then any friend will do for a few ghastly moments.
Please,
Oh, here's where I must leave you.
But there's nothing here but an old cemetery.
Yes, I know. I want to meet some old friends here. After you see I Was a Teenage Frankenstein and Blood of Dracula, you might drop back here. We'll discuss the pictures to some length.
Yes, I'll do that.
Live from the Land of Light in Nebula M78, home of the mighty Ultra Heroes, it's Monster Kid Radio's Beta Capsule Review. Ultraman Ace, Episode 30. You can see the star of Ultra. Dan and his friends observe a black cloud descending over the city, and the sixth Ultra Brother senses the presence of a terrible monster. Tak does too, and issues an evacuation order. In a moment of indecision, Hokuto lets a truck through the checkpoint, and the vehicle is promptly crushed by terrible monster Red Jack. Hokuto's decision is debated within Tak, but things only get worse when the monster reappears, and a similar lapse in judgment on Hokuto's part leads to the deaths of a motorcycle gang who defied the evacuation order. This time, Hokuto is relieved of his duties, but when Red Jack reemerges, Hokuto takes it upon himself to rescue Dan and Yamanaka. Ultraman Ace is summoned, but he may need to utilize heretofore undisclosed powers to deal with the fire-breathing Red Jack. Episode 30, which premiered October 27, 1972, embraces the new patterns established with last week's show. School-age Dan is once again an essential part of the story, and Hokuto is the singular host of Ultraman Ace. You Can See the Star of Ultra is an incisive look at Hokuto's character. His two big mistakes are made out of compassion for others, and he ignores his suspension for the purpose of helping those in danger, eventually saving the lives of Yamanaka and Dan. At the conclusion, Hokuto is immediately reinstated, an action that carries some weight because of the seriousness of his earlier failings. It's a bold choice to make the protagonist so fallible at this point in the series, but it underscores that both he and Dan have a lot to learn, and most viewers, present company included, can certainly relate to that. For Monster Kid Radio's Beta Capsule Review, this is Mark Matzke reporting.
I don't know.
Ejected from unexplored secret stratus, this giant, harder than steel piston, disgorges strange creatures, inundating our world, twisting the emotions of women, distorting our men.
This is a piece we got off the mayor. Reflex action like a snake. Cut a snake in half and the two pieces go off in different directions.
These things take over a man's mind. He becomes a robot? A machine taking orders?
Join the hunt for the hiding place of terror. Find the breeding place of these globs of destruction.
In feeding, the mouth parts rupture the cells, convey the food to the stomach by a pumping action.
It's an adventure that'll burst your blood vessels with suspense. See The Brain Eaters.
Across the centuries comes this exciting story of a modern girl cursed by an ancient legend. The legend of the cat people. Women whose kiss means death, whose love turns them into vicious, snarling beasts of prey.
Twice I've been followed by something that was not human, something that attempted to take my life. I believe that was the cat form of Verena.
Why should she wish to harm you?
Because I'm in love with her husband. It's shut now. Just a minute ago, it was open.
It's locked.
Leave us, Verena.
A man who loved with fierce, demanding passion. A monster who ran wild in a reign of terror that spread murder in his trail. The thing that went wrong in the secret atomic laboratory afflicted him with the most hideous curse ever visited on man, forcing him to cower in the darkness like a hunted animal. For one touch of the sun's bright rays transformed him into the reptilian Jekyll and Hyde monstrosity who couldn't control his lust to kill.
Hey, Monster Kids. This is a different kind of episode of The Bride of Monster Kid Radio because, just real life got in the way of things, and we did not, once again, have a chance to sit down to watch the actual movie, Hideous Sun Demon, and we're going to decide right now, on the spot, with Beth, if we are going to talk about it on the show. Because I just had her watch the trailer on YouTube. She knows nothing about the movie, outside of what I've told her, that it's kind of a reverse Wolfman thing where instead of the moon hitting him or at night, it's daytime and the sun hits him and that turns him into a monster. Or as the trailer says, a Jekyll and Hyde kind of thing, which I find interesting that it says Jekyll, not Jekyll. But anyway, Beth, hi.
Hi everyone. Yeah, we just watched the trailer. Wow. That's quite something. That's, reptilian with a lust to kill. Wow. That's a lot.
The monster looks cool, right?
It's a cool monster. I wonder if it would be cooler in shadow than in the sun, ironically. But
okay.
But it's a cool monster. I mean, I see why the kids are running screaming in the trailer. That's fair. That's definitely fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, what a horrible, condition to be afflicted with. And I'm assuming he's some sort of scientist or something, and something went wrong, but that's usually...
You'll have to watch the movie to find out, which begs the question, are we going to watch the movie for the show?
Yeah, I think we can do that this week before I head up north again.
Okay, so we are committed. Hideous Sun Demon will get a proper movie talk on the next episode of Bride of Monster Kid Radio, which does beg another question. What are we doing on this episode?
Well, I know we have a few emails and responses from fans to talk about and react to.
Right. So I got a message on Facebook Messenger from Brian Clarke.
Oh, okay.
He's been a guest on the show, and he's actually the person that I did the test episode of Pick Your Poison with, which I know I haven't released yet because I'm still trying to figure out the best way to release it. But Pick Your Poison is going to be the quiz show that we end up doing here on the podcast. Anyway, he is a huge kaiju fan. Loves Godzilla movies, love kaiju. And he had a comment about Godzilla Raids again. Remember when we watched it?
Oh, yeah.
One thing that I questioned, or maybe you questioned, somebody questioned, why Ashiro Honda, did not come back to direct the sequel.
Yes, yeah, I remember we talked about that.
And one thing that we suggested is that, well, it just happened so fast that Toho was like, just do it and assign it to the next guy. There's some truth to that. According to Brian, Honda didn't direct Godzilla Raids again because he was already working on a movie called Half Human. So Half Human...
By the time he finished Godzilla, I'm sure he had another movie set up and ready to go because that's how studios worked in those days too, was just go, go, go.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I can see where the quick turnaround, he just maybe wasn't available.
Brian says he's not really sure what Akira Ifukube was doing at the time. He was the score composer. Scores for both Godzilla Raids again and Half Human were both done by Masaru Sato, who came back to Godzilla on a lot of Jun Fukuda's entries like Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster and the Mechagodzilla movies.
Okay.
So, yeah, I don't know. I would have to dig a little bit more and do the research. Brian would know a lot more than I would. Mark Matzke would know a lot more than I would. A lot of you would know a lot more than I would when it comes to the kaiju stuff. We've talked about my background regarding kaiju films and how...
Sure.
I really didn't get into them until I was really a grown-up, until I was way past the age of just absorbing everything like a sponge because I had nothing else going on in my life. Which is part of the reason why we're doing this episode the way we're doing it, because there's a lot of other things going on in our life right now.
Yeah, that's true.
You like that segue? It's like I've been doing this for over a decade now, right?
It's almost like that, yeah. We have had some changes and things going on. I've been doing some traveling back and forth between Portland and here, getting some medical stuff done, all good, positive things moving in good directions. And then helping out each of our parents has had some little things that they needed help with, so we've been able to take care of that, which is really nice. But you've had a recent change, a really positive one.
Yeah, and I want to get to that here in a second. You mentioned mothers and having changes. My mother's been on the podcast, so listeners who've been with me for a long time have heard her talk about stuff on the show, and I always make sure I bring up the fact that I set myself on fire every time, just because I think it's hilarious for people to be able to actually hear her eyes roll.
Yeah.
Every time I bring it up. She had surgery. She's fine. She's recovering. Minor surgery. She's good. Everything's fine. The Monster Kid Mama's doing good. So I know that some of you actually have met her. And yeah, just want to let people know that she's doing okay. And then Beth's mom also had something, but she's doing good as well.
Yep.
Both on the recovery side of things. As far as I'm concerned, I brought it up on the stream over at twitch.tv/MonsterKidRadio, which is going to be live every other weekend. I think we're going to do something small.
Great.
Which means next Saturday we'll have something.
Right, yeah.
Planned. But I have a new job. I now am an employee of the Lego Group.
Yay!
Yeah, yes, that Lego company. So...
plastic bricks.
Yeah, and it's awesome. I'm going to be a consumer.
Did you really just say it's awesome?
Everything is, I'm not even going to sing it because that'll be a copyright strike.
Yeah.
Consumer service experience advisor.
Okay.
I'm a CSC advisor. So, so that is something I've been in training on at home. It's a work from home job, which means I'm sitting at my computer for 8 hours a day, Monday through Friday, which is great. And I don't want to complain about it because it's really awesome. But, it's sitting at the computer for quite some time. And when I'm done, I want to get up and do something else. So,
yeah, that's understandable.
So that is happening now. And in Arizona, the Lego Group is opening a contact center, and that's where I'll be working in Tempe later this year, which is just phenomenal. I can't wait.
So proud of you.
Thank you. This is, hey, Mom, come here. You want to say hi? I just told everybody you had surgery.
Who's everybody?
This is for the podcast. We are still living in my mother's guest room, and she just wandered into the kitchen where we're kind of recording. She was smiling when she said that's okay when I asked her to be on the show. Anyway, no, it's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to actually going into the office. It will be a hybrid job. They call it the best of both worlds. I'll be in the office 3 days a week. I'll be working from home 2 days a week once the center is open later this year. So that's just super, super exciting.
I can think of another roommate who has enjoyed your time at home.
That's true. Little Miss Wednesday is my favorite coworker. I made the mistake of telling my training class that, and then realized I just basically put all my new hire colleagues underneath my cat. But
that's fair.
That's fair. A number of them have already seen pictures of Wednesday, and I told them about her Instagram page. So maybe she got a new follower or two out of it. She over here?
No, I think she's off doing patrol.
She's doing cat stuff. You've got some stuff coming up too. You've got a position now. Is it a position or is it a gig?
I'm not going to go into a ton of detail yet, but I have some potentials for some new paid acting gigs coming up that I'm excited about, and looking at where I'm going to be this fall with teaching, and some awesome new opportunities there. For maybe going into a different subject matter than I've done the last few years, which could be really fun and really good for my soul. Yeah. Really good for me as a human, and maybe physically too, quite good actually. So looking forward to a lot of things with that, and enjoying Arizona as it warms up down here and becomes livable, and thinking of all you people in the horrible, wet, cold awfulness. Sorry. Come move down here and be cool like us.
Or hot.
Here. Well, we all have air conditioning, so it's fine.
That's true. Yeah. We got a ceiling fan going above our head right now just to keep us cool. We haven't really done much in the haunt community lately, but I've been feeling the itch. And I feel like you've been feeling the itch too, a little bit.
Definitely. I mean, I'm doing a little bit behind the scenes, working on a potentially new project, working with a couple other people on a potentially new product for the industry, but too early to get into much detail with that yet. But I'm watching to see if the right opportunity presents itself for this coming year. Yeah, I'd align myself with the right group.
And that's definitely something that we want to look into. I want to do something as well within the community. The haunt industry down here in Arizona is very different than what my limited experience gave me in the Portland area.
It's a little smaller.
It's smaller, but yet because it's so spread out, they seem further apart from each other in terms of just the people that work on them, and whether or not everybody at one haunt knows everybody at the other haunt. Whereas in the Portland area, I felt like
you're more likely to visit each other's haunts and know each other, and maybe have people cross staffs between years.
Exactly. And I feel like here, because things are so spread out, and that's just an Arizona thing, you might not necessarily have somebody at the one haunt over here, whereas 2 cities over, even though on the map they look like they're right next to each other, don't even know what's going on over there.
Yeah.
And again, that's my limited experience so far. Maybe I'm wrong. And if you're in the Arizona area and know of any haunts that need an awesome manager and or designer and or sound person and or 6'4" guy who's willing to get all made up, and an adorable, fun-sized actress who can play anything, let us know. Yeah, drop me a line. monsterkidradio@gmail.com. We're definitely interested in learning more about it. Trying to think of anything else that might kind of give listeners a a little bit of a peek behind the monster curtain about what's going on here. I haven't been writing it because of the new job. Still trying to get all of that worked out, but that's going to start up again later this week, and we do have some Mark Temple stuff in the works. And if you watched the video that I put out in the House of Monster Kid Radio about the audio drama, that's still a go. And I love just kind of springing things on you.
Here we go.
I think I figured out who the first big bad is going to be.
Okay.
It's somebody from classic horror literature.
Oh, okay.
That doesn't always get the same representation as, say, Frankenstein or Dracula or Jekyll and Hyde or any of these others.
Jekyll and Hyde.
But there have been some films about her.
Oh, a woman. Okay.
And, I don't want to say it because I don't want to spoil it here. But I do, I'm going to tell Beth and I'm going to edit it out. So, okay. Listener, she just shook her head. She has no idea what I'm talking about. Which means there's some movies I get to share with her.
There we go.
Great. So, yeah, I figured out who the big bad's going to be. And that's going to be really cool.
Well, that's brilliant. I did think about one other thing that you've been doing recently. You've got a new shirt design.
Yeah.
You have a new shirt available, and it looks amazing.
Some random guy in the grocery store said to me, that's a rad shirt. So, if some random guy in the grocery store liked it.
It must be great.
It must be rad.
Yeah.
We call it the Kaiju King shirt. It is available over at themedeath.com. Click on the Death Merchant link, and it'll take you to where you can see the various shirts. Go to where the button-up shirts are, and you'll find it there. I also made sure I mentioned it last week. There's a link in the show notes. Check that out. It's a great shirt. It's right up there with my Crestwood House shirt design.
Yeah.
In terms of my favorites.
I think it is one of your best ones. I mean, I guess I'm biased. One of my favorites is the one you did for our wedding. And if you are someone who needs custom attire for an event like that, Derek would be happy to work with you and get you what you need. Certainly our groomsmen have said that they get compliments every time they rewear their shirts. And it's a much cheaper and kind of more unique and lasting memory to give yourself than just somebody else's suit that you're renting.
Right. Yeah.
And more comfortable, definitely.
So check out the link in the show notes. Make sure you're going to monsterkidradio.net because that's where everything is. You'll be able to go from there to Team Death, to our TeePublic shop, to our Amazon affiliate link. It's all there. So make sure you check that out, and our contact information there as well. Although the other bit of contact that I got from a listener came through Facebook Messenger. So,
okay.
We're friends on Facebook. This comes from Mike Bogue. Mike is a writer. He's written for a lot of the monster magazines. He's also a kaiju guy.
Right on team then. Perfect.
Right. Hey, Derek. I know you've had a whirlwind of a year or two, but I hope things are going well, or as well as they can be. Okay, you know what? I want to take a pause here. I'm going to get back to his message here in a second because I just love telling this to people because I find it utterly ridiculous. We found out one of the reasons why we didn't get invited back to Kuwait. Can I tell this?
Tell him.
I'm still working on a book project about what happened in Kuwait. But needless to say, we left Kuwait, the Kuwait haunt experience, under less than great circumstances. There was an issue with the design and something wasn't built correctly, and I don't mind saying that. And Beth got hurt. She got significantly injured in the haunt when we went over to Kuwait to create the haunt. And for listeners, if you don't know what we're talking about, it's been over a year now.
Over a year ago. Mm-hmm.
We were invited. Beth, in particular, was basically headhunted to go over to Kuwait, and yes, that Kuwait, to help train and manage. And the legal agreement did say some design, but that really didn't happen. The region's first permanent standing haunted house attraction.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, a food company was opening up a new fast food restaurant, burgers, and decided, you know what would sell burgers? A zombie hospital. And That's what they did. They brought over a designer from the U.S. to design the thing, and they brought Beth over, and this was... how long after our wedding was this?
About 9 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we figured out a way to get me involved as well, and they brought me over as an actor, and I became Beth's assistant as well. And it was a phenomenal experience.
It was amazing, and all the people we met there were so kind and welcoming, such a welcoming country, and really I felt safe the entire time I was there, and had an amazing time.
It was fantastic, and unfortunately we had to leave earlier than planned because Beth got injured, knee injury.
Yeah.
And we had to come home to the States, and we did. And there was no guarantee that they would ask us to come back. I mean, they told us they would too, but that's a whole different story I'm going to put in the book. But there's no guarantee that they were going to ask us to come back if they re-themed or relaunched. As much as I say it's like the first permanent haunted house attraction, the truth is almost everything tourism-wise and experience-wise like that shuts down in the middle of the summer of Kuwait because it's just too bloody hot.
Everyone leaves the country.
Everybody leaves. So even the haunted house, the zombie hospital, got shut down. And when they were going to reopen it, they were going to do a retheming.
Yep.
And they did not ask us to come back. And so,
now, to be fair, they didn't ask anyone to fill that position. They thought that the designer could do it on their own, and they're learning that they couldn't. But that aside, a reason was given to returning actors for why I hadn't returned.
Apparently, I am so insecure and controlling of a husband.
You're a bully.
I'm a bully. I just could not handle the fact that my wife was going to be in a position of authority and power above me.
And be successful.
And be successful at it. So I would not let Beth go back to Kuwait. That's what they're telling everybody. We were never asked.
No.
And honestly, if we were asked, I would have seriously considered it because I miss the people we worked with.
I do. I miss especially the kids that worked for us, the young people that worked for us, who many of them were immigrants themselves and wanting to make better lives for themselves and working really hard at other jobs and school and the haunt. And I really appreciated their work ethic and, you know, how hard they worked at their jobs. They did not give up. They did not phone it in. They did a good job every time.
The haunt kids were amazing, you know, and I got to see firsthand why Beth oftentimes gets nicknamed Haunt Mom whenever she works at a haunted house attraction, because that's what she does, you know? And it was amazing. And you made some, what I'd like to think are lifelong friends.
Mm-hmm, I think so.
You know, and we're still in touch with them to this day through WhatsApp, because they use WhatsApp over there, not Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And I still haven't figured out Snapchat. If you know how to make Snapchat work for you, great, maybe let me know. But yeah, we're still swapping messages with some of them via WhatsApp. I just sent them a picture of Beth with Wednesday the other day. And I got some reactions on that because they love Beth. And Kuwait's very
cats.
very, very cat friendly. And that'll be...
We met many, many, many cats.
That'll be in the upcoming book as well. I really hope that Aisha is doing okay. That was
our cat.
That was our hotel.
That we had coffee with most mornings.
Yeah. But yeah, they to justify why they didn't bother to reach out to us, they told everybody that I was just not going to let Beth go. I just wouldn't let her go. That they asked us and I said no. Y'all know me. Yeah, you know me, right? You know that's not who I am.
Okay, but in a face-saving culture, it's the kind of thing that they could say that, hey, it doesn't put me in a bad light, and it would be believable to them. To some of them. Well, or it's believable enough that the kids will go, yeah, okay. And then come tell me about it.
They think it's believable. The higher's up think it's believable.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And the other people know better than to contradict them.
Yeah. So, whirlwind year or two. Yeah, so we had the haunt. Beth got injured. We moved to Arizona. We became zombies. We became zombies in the one haunt we didn't work at.
I got shot in the head by a Backstreet Boy, or NSYNC. I don't know, some sort of boy band former dude.
98 Degrees. It was
98 Degrees, that's right.
It was Nick Lachey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nick Lachey came to the home.
It's all a blur now.
Yeah. And even in that environment, we went in there specifically saying to each other,
don't volunteer to lead anything. We're just here to act and have fun.
We want to get into the culture. We want to know what's going on. And the best way to do that is to just be one of the guys, be one of the zombies.
By the third night?
Oh, so that at the end of that weekend.
Yeah. They'd announced to the whole group that we were going to be leading some stuff. I'm like, no, I can't help it.
Yeah. Anyway, so Mike continues. That's not the only thing he had to say. Let's see, Whirlwind Year or Two. I see that Bride of Monster Kid Radio is nominated for a Rondo in the category of Best Podcast. Congratulations. Certainly, you've always contributed liberally to the Monster Kid community, and I'm glad to see the sequel to Monster Kid Radio get recognition. Hope you and yours have a good week. Best of luck in winning, Mike. We were nominated for a Rondo, and I wanted to read this in particular because I wanted to say congratulations to everybody else who was nominated for a
Yes, absolutely. Congratulations and well-earned, and thank you to those who nominated and think so kindly of us, because it really is an honor to come into your homes and ears and cars and workplaces everywhere and every week and share our thoughts and our passions with you, and we appreciate you.
Yeah, it's something special. And as Larry said the other previous episode where we were talking about the Rondos, a lot of times people say, well, it's like the Oscars for classic horror. No, it's not. It's the people's choice.
Yes.
Which I think is special in a very different way.
Yes.
I think that the fact that it's voted on by the fans, by Monster Kids themselves, as opposed to a committee or an academy or whatever, is pretty special. Mm-hmm. And I really appreciate that Bride of Monster Kid Radio gets to stand proudly beside all these other amazing podcasts. A lot of them being produced by people that have been on the show or are friends of the podcast.
Absolutely.
And I think that's pretty special too. I do want to say, and I brought this up with Larry, Bride of Monster Kid Radio, yes, MKR has been going on for over a decade. But because of that whirlwind year or two, there were some significant breaks in the continuity of the podcast. And when we brought Bride of Monster Kid Radio out and decided to kind of start a new season, so to speak, with season 1 being over 10 years long.
A refresh.
We didn't do a lot last year.
Because we only started at the end of haunt season there, yeah.
This is episode 16 of Bride of Monster Kid Radio.
And we're in March.
Yeah. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't have nominated us, but...
No, really, I feel absolutely honored to be nominated.
Yes.
But when considering our category, certainly consider that the other nominees put out a full year of their product and should have that taken into consideration when you vote, because they are friends of ours and we do appreciate what they do and they contribute to what we do.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about us being contributors liberally to the Monster Kid community. Great. And
we intend to be for years to come, so there will be every opportunity to vote for us with a full year of content.
Right. I mean, I'm already part of the Monster Kid Hall of Fame through the Rondos. That is such a huge honor.
And heavy statue.
And it is a solid little, statue / plaque. It's in storage right now, but it's
safely,
yes, it's wrapped up and everything. And that, it's amazing. And Monster Kid Radio did win Best Podcast, once. Mm-hmm. So I have,
Yep.
2 Rondos, I guess, technically.
Yeah.
Well, 1 Rondo Award and then 1 for Hall of Fame, which is more than I ever expected when I started Monster Kid Radio. The Rondos were a thing before I started MKR. My old podcast, My Older Zombie, had been nominated before, so I was aware of it. But, yeah, I mean,
I would be so proud to see Bride of Monster Kid Radio win a Rondo, but I would be even more proud if I knew it was our best effort for an entire year.
Yeah, and again, thank you for your support.
Thank you.
If you do want to vote for, I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. I can't. There are too many of my friends.
Yeah, you can vote for us if you want to, but definitely take a look at all the other entries too, is all we're asking.
There are so many of our friends on the ballot. And check out the other categories too. Please check out the other categories.
You might find a new layer of your interest.
You know, and I've said this for years. The best thing about the ballot is that it becomes a checklist for all the cool Monster Kid stuff that happened in the previous year.
Yep.
So maybe there was an article you missed. Maybe there was an interview or a DVD or a Blu-ray or a TV show or a movie that you missed. Well, here's the Rondo Award ballot to remind you of these things that came out. And now you have some stuff to watch and or read and or collect.
And or listen to.
And or listen to. Exactly. If I were to make any suggestions about who to vote for, I would love to see a lot of Monster Kid Radio irregulars take home rondos.
Yes, absolutely.
So, if nothing else, I mean, if you're going to listen to what we have to say about who to vote for, maybe check out some of Monster Kid Radio's and Bride of Monster Kid Radio's friends. That's fair.
That's fair.
And if you are nominated for a rondo, congratulations.
Absolutely.
That is so cool. I am proud to be on the ballot with you. And some of you I may even be reaching out to for maybe coming on the show as a guest. Would love to have you on the show just to talk about being a monster kid and loving this stuff that we all love. So that's basically what we wanted to do on this week's episode of the show. Next week we will have an episode about the Hideous Sun Demon. I do want to say is kind of like what is coming up. Alan Tromp and I have talked about having him on the show to talk about a mummy movie called Curse of the Faceless Man.
Ooh.
I really like this one. If you follow me on Facebook or YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, I posted the trailer for Curse of the Faceless Man. I did a little bit of work to it, make it look good. As either a YouTube short or an Instagram story or reel or TikTok, whatever you call them. I like that mummy movie. It's a lot of fun. And I'm really excited to have Alan back on the podcast. It's been way too long. Last time I had him on, he introduced me to a cool little vampire flick that I never even heard of before he came on the show. I think that's the last time I had him on. So that's potentially coming up in the near future. Also, I have reached out to the people behind an upcoming puppet show about atomic ants.
Local.
Yes, local. In Arizona, there are not one, but 2 puppet theaters, at least that I found.
That do shows for adults.
Adults, one for like all ages, but one for adults, and one of them's doing a show about atomic ants. And it looks like it's done kind of like a tongue-in-cheeky kind of style. So not necessarily like the Christopher R. Mim style of retro, where they just kind of play it straight and let the humor come through naturally. This seems to be a little more spoof parody.
Okay.
Which is more of like a Larry Blameyer kind of style. But I've reached out to them. We've swapped a couple of messages, and I really hope to have an opportunity to chat with them as well. And I just want to see what the ants look like.
I know, right?
I want to see
what do the ant puppets look like?
Right? It just looks like fun. I mean, I never thought I needed to see the movie Them as a puppet show, but I'm all in. You've never seen Them, have you?
No, I haven't seen Them.
You've seen a very small clip of Them.
Yes.
Because it's in one of the Ant-Man movies.
I've seen clips of it. Like, I'm aware of it.
I think you'd really like Them.
Don't really like ants.
No, but this one's Okay, well, you know what? There are so many movies I want to share with you. I won't push that one right now.
Okay.
We got to focus on Hideous Sun Demon. Anything else before we wrap up?
Just that, if you want to drop us a line or leave us a message, there are a few different ways you can do that, aren't there, Derek?
monsterkidradio@gmail.com is our email address, and probably the most reliable way to get something to us. And if you're feeling froggy and you want to send us an audio file, you can always put together like an MP3 or a WAV file, or really any audio file I could make work. And I can get that onto the show as well. So email that to us, or you can send us or leave us a voicemail through our voicemail line. Our voicemail telephone number. Well, you know what? I'll let the pre-recording thing tell you, because I don't remember it off the top of my head and I can't get it to come up on my phone.
Okay.
So stay tuned for our contact information. Stay tuned for the Hideous Sun Demon next week. That's pretty much it.
Stay cool, monster kids.
Have something to share with Bride of Monster Kid Radio? You can email the show at monsterkidradio@gmail.com, or you can call and leave a voicemail at 360-524-2484. Bit of a shorter episode this week, but you know what? I didn't want a week to go by without us giving you an episode of Bride of Monster Kid Radio, and yeah, you heard Beth. Next week, we will finally sit down to watch the Hideous Sun Demon. I really hope it's been worth the wait for her and for you. She and I will sit down sometime this week to watch it and record about it, and that'll be coming out next week on the show. Big thanks to Beth. Thanks to my mom, who, well, I guess she really didn't appear on the show, but thanks to her anyway for putting up with our Monster Kid shenanigans while I've been living with her here. Big thanks to Mark, and thanks to you for being part of the Monster Kid Radio experience. Bride of Monster Kid Radio is only here because you're listening to us, so please consider sharing the posts, refreshing, resharing, reposting, reblogging, whatever it is you do online when you're talking about podcasts. Well, maybe talk a little bit about what we do over here at Bride of Monster Kid Radio, and send people over to our website at monsterkidradio.net, where you're going to find everything that we've talked about here on the show. There's links to it. You can follow Mark online. You can find our contact information, which is monsterkidradio@gmail.com for email, or for voicemail or text. You can always send us a message at 360-524-2484. If you leave us a voicemail, keep in mind that voicemail does have a hard 3-minute limit. So, choose your words carefully, or call back a second time and just continue your message, and I'll stitch it all together in post-production. You're also going to find links to our Amazon affiliate page, our Reddit, our Discord, our Patreon, everything else we've got going on, you're going to find over there. And you're going to find a link to the Classic Horror Film Board, which is where you're going to want to go to learn more about the Rondo Hatton Classic Horror Awards. And you did hear Beth and I talk about it. You're going to find a link to our Team Death website, where you can pick up your own merch, including the Kaiju King style shirts. Just click on the picture of me looking very happy and content wearing an awesome shirt, and you'll be taken straight over to that website where you can buy that shirt, or check out the other products with Death designs. It's something that we really love doing, and it really helps us out too here at Bride of Monster Kid Radio. So like I said, next week, Hideous Sun Demon. After that, maybe I'll have something scheduled with Alan. Maybe we'll have something else altogether new on the show. Just make sure you stay listening, you stay subscribed to the show, and you'll get it next week with the new episode of Bride of Monster Kid Radio. Bride of Monster Kid Radio is a Team Death production. All original content of Bride of Monster Kid Radio is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution, Non-Commercial, No Derivatives 4.0 Unported license. You can learn more about Team Death, our other projects like Death Designs, Mail Order Zombie, the Team Death YouTube channel, and more at www.teamdeath.com. Remember, death is spelled D-E-T-H. All previous episodes of this podcast, as well as the original Monster Kid Radio podcast, are available at www.monsterkidradio.net. Please rate and review Bride of Monster Kid Radio wherever you download your favorite podcasts. Zeusphobia is copyright 2025, Dr. Phobic and the Phobic-Tones. You can find them at drphobic.bandcamp.com, or you can even find them on Facebook. Check them out and let them know that you heard about them here on Bride of Monster Kid Radio. My name's Derek M. Cook. I'll talk to everybody next week. Ciao.